Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be taking a look at Control Portal. Definitely a more interesting one. It is rotation, of course, and it's one that I don't usually play a lot, as Control Portal is usually something that lacks a lot, but in this case it seems to work out quite nicely. So the only real problem I've had with this deck overall is the fact that your only win con is Omen of Destruction, and that is a little bit rough. I'm actually been considering maybe subbing out the Heartless Battle and Strunctor, whatever, going for that, changing those couple of things out and putting in a couple of big hitters, maybe Orthrus, maybe Noah, just something to give me that little bit of extra reach that might help me close a game in the real late game. Otherwise, I actually really enjoy a lot of this deck. It's a lot of fun and it's definitely got some viability to it. Is it going to be a top tier deck? Probably not. Is it a lot of fun for a Portal deck? Definitely. So we're going to get right into this and check it out. So starting us off, we're going up against Forest. No surprise there, as Forest is definitely still one of the top decks, and another deck like Shadow, if you watched my last video, that I can't actually play at the moment, as I just lack way too many cards, and don't feel like it's worth crafting, 12,000 vials worth of cards just for that. I think Shadow I was going to need to craft like a ridiculous amount of cards and was depressing, and Forest wasn't much better, so starting off with the early 1-drop I feel is always good, especially in the Forest matchup. And Miraculous Invention, as you're about to see, is actually an extremely nice card to play. Is this deck going to do well overall? Probably not. Is this deck decent enough? Definitely. If you're looking to play Portal, this is definitely one of the decks I would play. So Forest, of course, going for those really early plays again. This time I use Apostle of Destruction to duplicate the Miraculous Invention again, as I feel like it's going to be a pretty huge advantage in the later game. And we don't even have our 4-drop yet to go for our finisher with our Omen, so don't really have many options. When you don't have your Omen, it's really just a matter of buying as much time as you can. And that's definitely a rough time. So I feel like I definitely made the right choice going for that. And Destructive Refrain was actually a nice pickup off the top. Being able to get that extra and clear it out is always good. So again, they're going for a pretty decent line of play here, filling their board as much as they can, defending themselves as best they can, and really just hoping that they're going to do well. So we finally get our Omen. Not a bad time to play it. We're going to be able to pick up the kill on the 3-4, and maybe even just pop it down the 2-1 to really just drop Destruction in white down. And since I want more draw power, taking a Disciple of Destruction is going to be a pretty decent advantage to have. This deck can be a little tricky, as you definitely want to play the more control-orientated style. The biggest problem eventually ends up being healing, so that's why these Miraculous Inventions and Destruction in White are so important, as unlike other control decks, you just don't heal quite as much. So Fairy's going to strike me for 3, or maybe not, sorry, because it's only Rush. I've got to remember sometimes that they are only Rush. So we can at least try and strike this. My main aim was to use Servant of Destruction and hopefully hit the 4-3, since it is randomly. Unfortunately, that luck wasn't quite there, so the Evo did have to be used. But, I mean, well, it was a risk. It was a risk I was willing to take. So Destruction in White is now very playable. Of course, we do need to get it to hit the board. So then we can take full advantage of everything else we're going to want to play. As we want to get Destruction in Black on the board as fast as possible. The biggest problem, of course, with this deck is it's very easy to counter. Once they clear your Destruction in White or Destruction in Black, you effectively are going to lose the game, as it's very hard to make a comeback from that. As you're about to see here, we're in a very rough spot. The only fortunate part is we should be able to wipe out the majority of this board pretty effectively. Now we're kind of just banking on the fact that we are going to get to play destruction reasonably soon. And again, we're going to heal up, which is a pretty nice advantage to have. And really just buy time from here. So destruction in black is at 7. We can drop it again by at least 1 with Puppet. Maybe even 2 if we went Hamlin Puppet, which is actually a fairly decent line of play as it gives us a body and a clear pretty cheaply. So we need to take out this board. So I prioritized that first. I didn't decide to use my puppets yet, as I did end up holding on to those, which may have been the wrong move. I probably should have just used my puppets to clear those instead, and then went for this line of play. But we've kept our health up, regardless. Skystride Raptor. Again, not a big problem yet. Especially since we were defending fairly well. We were only going to take, at maximum there, 9 damage, which is definitely decent. Now, next up, we are going against Rune, which is definitely one that isn't too bad to go up against. Since Rune is usually slow and you're pretty slow, as long as you can play your Neapolitan Amulet, you're actually usually going to be fine. So definitely not bad to start off this game. Going early again with the pretty much same curve is exactly what you need. Of course the 2-2 is a little rough. You want to avoid as much damage as you can. In this case though, we're mainly just pumping out puppets, which is why we went for early puppet generation over the fact that we could have played other things. As those puppets are just extremely important to boosting as quickly as possible to destruction in black. Heartless Battle does a wonderful job at both defending us and allowing us to further boost our destruction in white. Really, there isn't much more to go off that play. So there wasn't really a lot to say about that, as really it's just a matter of getting these puppets down, making sure that our destruction is going to drop consistently, and hopefully defending ourselves enough that we can get that destruction in black onto the board. And with destruction in white costing 4, we're looking to be in a pretty promising position, especially since we have the puppets available to us, which with an Evo will clear this 5-4. Not usually how I like to use my Evo points, but in a situation like this, where I am getting advantage out of them, I don't mind too much. The only problem is I didn't quite have enough to go for destruction in black on the turn. If I had one more puppet, I could have went for destruction in black next turn, and that would have been absolutely amazing. And either way though, I wouldn't have been able to thanks to these 3-3s, as they pretty much have to be dealt with. At least we should be able to get destruction in black onto the board next turn, provided nothing crazy happens. As we are just going to force this draw power now. Even though I could have just played destruction in white, I wanted to get as much value on the black as possible. And we did a pretty good job of that. Provided this 3-1 dies, which I reckon it probably will, we should be able to get destruction in black down to 5 cost, which is always good. So that little bit of healing definitely helping us out. We get our chance to go for destruction in black, and really now we just kind of play what we can. So 17, I don't think Chimera will be able to deal that, which is good. That's the only real secure point I was able to do, as I couldn't risk anything else. And it looks like they are full on Mysteria anyway. I wasn't sure they were going to be a Chimera Mysteria deck. That's why I didn't want to take the risk too much. But seeing they are full on Mysteria is actually really good. Well, it's definitely going to be tough because 15 is still a pretty dangerous range to be in against Mysteria. It could be worse.
The world shall hear this proclamation. Let us learn about magic.
So we get another clear. Unfortunately, the healing negated us a little bit, which is a bit of a pain. I went for another destruction in black. I wanted to make sure that even if something bad happened, I had a chance. Fortunately, we're able to block a good amount of damage from anything big. The only risk would have been the Ant Sorcery, which they hadn't played a lot of Mysteria cards prior to that, so it wasn't a big threat to me at that point. And from here, we actually win the game, because there's literally nothing they could have played to really win the game off. This is definitely a deck I had a lot of fun with. Was it consistent? Probably not. Honestly, it lost a fair few games, and it only won a fraction of those. I'd say it won about a third of the games I played, so around a 40% win rate, probably roughly, based on my win-losses. But it was fun. I enjoyed playing it. It's different. It was something I hadn't really played before, going for a much more control-orientated Portal deck when it came to Omen, which was a lot of fun. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe. Find the deck list in the description below. Until next time, see ya.